Hello. I had no idea what I was going to talk about in this video. It's almost like having a sort of video block, like a writer's block. Like nothing's coming through. So I thought, let's reframe this. Let's go about this in a different way. But before I come on to that, as a reminder, I'm here to do personal one-to-one tarot card readings. It is the only source of income I have. These last three weeks have been quite quiet. So therefore no income, therefore having to go very careful with food, and also for the cats as well. It seems to follow a cycle, and I'm doing what I can to the best of my ability to break it. But as much as anything else, let's look at it from the positive side. What I'm showing you is that I'm not infallible. I haven't got it right. This I will come back to later. So I thought it is going to depend on the question I ask to get the right answer. So I thought, or the idea came, ask the question, what is life going to be like, or what advice can the cards give that we as errants can do between now and 2040 and 2046? We go as far as 2040. I feel that is enough. So I did a reading. 8 cards basically just fell out. I can't show you the display of the cards because Misha decided she's going to sit on the table. Junus is on my lap, and so I'll just go through the cards. I think that's the best way. So the question I've asked is, what is the advice for errants in the years leading up to 2040? There's a lot of talk about 2040 and after, or after 2046, from the more negative aspect of where humans could become the food source of what were chickens. With this change in this environment, everything in it is subject to terms and conditions in this physical world, it would seem. But I thought, well, that's all very negative and very fearful. But what about coming it from the other side, as it were? Because it's from the other side, the unseen world, that everything seems to come. The potential, the infinite supply that then comes into this reality. And I suppose what I've done, I've created a magnetic field which is creating an interference, which is not bringing the tarot card requests that I'd like to sustain this sort of very basic lifestyle. Because it's the dielectric in the middle where there is no resistance that brings things quicker. And we can help that process by doing something else, so we're not having all these thoughts going around. So that's another reason for doing this. So I'm looking at the positive to 2040 or after 2040 and 2046, in that it's going to be effortless. I've said on video before, we're going to ghost out of this reality where Mary Celeste our way through this, because it's all frequency. Our frequency will change so much. But what can we do in the meantime? So let's get back to this So the first card out, it's the Four of Birds. Obviously it is showing rest for healing. And in that rest, when you're in that stillness, that is when things will just pop into the mind. The inspiration will come. It's interesting as well. It's the suit Birds, which is therefore to do with spirit. So we're starting with a card representing spirit. You also have a very large bird, which I would suggest is the phoenix, and it's not quite there yet, the blocking out of the sun. It's amazing what comes out in these cards. So that's the first card. The second card to come out is this Two of Stones. It's like a coin. It's no reversed meaning as such. It just depends which comes out, the tortoise or the toad on the top. So in this position, the Two of Stones, which is an earth element card. So we've gone from spirit and resting, and now we have the earth. This is the bringing of the heaven upon earth, as it were, you could say. This card is about action, creative power and involvement. Well, the creative power is the imagination. The action is in using the imagination, not an actual physical action as such, more a mental agility action. I'm just checking. So you've got two worlds here. So you could say that we're moving towards this upper world. I would say that is also what is happening with this contact period that's coming up. The overlay of two realities, it's being reflected in this card. It's showing that it's happening, and I do feel there are early signs of that, and I feel these will become more and more apparent. There's a lot of talk that AI is so good that you can't distinguish. A lot that are held in high regard that are agents of the system. It isn't even really about needing to expose them, although that gives you the factual evidence that they are gatekeepers or they are misleading. We could name names like Graham Hancock as one of those. David Icke, I would say, is another one. It's not entirely from what they say. It's just a feeling. Something that you can detect that even comes across in video. It comes through in photographs as well. The interesting with a photo, although it captures an image, it doesn't capture the energy, but it captures something, so that energy is showing through in that photograph. There's a whole new level of perception that I feel more and more of you will start to see with these things. So let's move on to the next card now. We're now going with the flow over the next few cards because they're all river cards. So the next card to come out is the Speaker of Rivers. The card pertains to imagination, the power to inspire others. So we can help each other along the way. You've got this theme of creative power, imagination that is coming through in this. Next, another Rivers card, the Eight of Rivers. The card represents playfulness, a new identity, and action to help others. The new identity, using your imagination, how will it be for you after 2040 and after 2046? Are you going to be sort of taking your chances and trying to evade pterodactyls and velociraptors? Or are you going to be completely different on such a different frequency? The action to help others is in sharing our discoveries, sharing our thoughts, sharing our feelings, looking at the potential, the possibilities. What we're putting out into the field as well is going to count into this. So the next card to come out was the Knower of Rivers. It's almost like a pun, really, the Noah, when you consider the flood. But look at the spelling, it's still pronounced the same. That's the beauty of etymology, when you start seeing and hearing the words and thinking Noah and Noah, two different spellings but basically meaning the same thing. The card represents looking deep into one's own nature, the self-knowledge, intuition and confident action. You see how these cards are self-referencing. We've got intuition, we've got imagination, and we have action, all coming out in these cards. Those were the 5 cards that fell out, but I thought, let's just carry this on. Let's see what else we get. Let's take it up to 8. And this is really, this is a mind-blowing thing to me. The first card to come out was the High Priestess, card number 2. The card represents inner truth, stillness, intuitive knowledge, secrets and mysteries. Throughout history, you get reverse engineering, rediscovery of things. Imagine the potential as things start to change. What will we remember? Something that's passed down maybe through the genes. That sort of link between the soul and the physical body. It's a beautiful card. It's got that spiral. It's like it's drawing on some sort of knowledge deep within oneself and between 2 pillars as well. The card that followed is probably the best card that could have followed. So you have number 2, the High Priestess, the Divine Feminine. So what came out next was the equivalent Divine Masculine, the Magician. The Magician represents creativity, therefore it is also imagination, it is intuition working together. It represents action, connecting on a different level of being. What better union could you get than a divine masculine and a divine feminine going on within oneself? The sort of logic and the wisdom combined, which it's no surprise in a way. So we've gone from 3 river cards. Now we've had 2 major arcana cards. Now we're back to more of like an earthly depiction. But it's another birds card. We've started with a bird, the 4 of birds. Now we move to the 7 of birds. The card represents setting boundaries, creative solutions, coming together. And you'll notice as well, let's just go back to, I forgot to mention this. So with the Magician, what you've got at the top here, it's not that dissimilar from the woodcut of what was seen over Nuremberg in a way. You also had, right at the start of this great big bird, which I would say represents the phoenix. But now when we move to this 7 of birds, it's dissipated. To me, I'm seeing this as showing a new cosmology. So let's go back over the key points of this. It's about resting, to allow things to come into the mind, to be able to hone in to that intuition, which is that Noah of Rivers card, letting it rise up within inside yourself, using your creativity, that is the action, using the imagination, using your intuitive powers, and let's not forget also humour. You cannot be serious. Do you want to be serious? Or would you rather be something new? Where we're going in these next 14 years is going to be amazing. I would go so far as to say that what you were shown in the first Matrix film with Neo basically being fired at, but these bullets just stop in midair. I feel it will get to that level with a change of circumstances, the change in the environmental conditions, above the surface being a far more denser energy. Remember, we're in a realm of duality, so whilst it's said about this is the most dense, stuck reality, this realm of materialism, this physical world, because we're in a photo-negative reality, that will probably flip over. So in energy, it will become more free-flowing. But it'll also become more dense at the same time, more powerfully apparent to others. If I was an artist, how would I depict an aura? Maybe I would draw or paint a figure and then put a halo, either just round the head or perhaps encompassing the whole body. Art is a wonderful teacher when you look below, like everything else, look below the surface. It comes back to that Noah of Rivers. Go deep within oneself. Draw on that intuition. You have the imagination, you have the inspiration. This reading is talking about taking action in this way. It's not about prepping, it's not about building underground bases, because the signals you are going to put out into the field are going to reflect back what you're saying you wish to happen by your actions. So I'm saying don't build a deep underground base. Don't stock up for a siege, because you won't need to. Because the thing that comes through with this, and it contains that wonderful sixth character of the alphabet, it's such a powerful symbol, the letter F. But when it's doubled, it becomes energy effortless. The E for energy, then those two Fs. The double fire, I would suggest that is saying. I would also suggest it is when you have these two within oneself, and it's coming together with others as well. You don't have to necessarily agree on everything, but allow that frequency match, that intuitive thing that will draw the same ones on the same frequency towards you. That whole saying, together we're stronger. We imagine if it was the way in some stories it's looking for the one that is going to change everything. Well, imagine if it was more than one. That would be exponentially greater, I would suggest. So going towards 2040 is not something to be fearful of. It is something to embrace and say, this is fantastic. This hasn't happened for a long time, certainly not with anybody's living memory who's still alive today. It is stepping into the unknown in that sense. Whether it's happened before quite like this, I really don't know. I've been pondering the whole story of Enoch living for 365 years and then he was not, and then the story that he ascended up. I don't feel it's going to be like that. I feel it's more just a stepping through. But maybe we will rise up in a kind of sense. It depends how you sort of interpret that as something physical and literal, something observable in the material, or is it something going on inside, this lifting up? And he was not. It's a very strange way of saying it, but if one moment there is someone there and the next minute they're gone. It's not going to work. I was trying to pause the camera and dive out of the way just to sort of show it, but that's going to put me off my flow anyway. But I'd say what that is revealing is it's just a shift in frequency. Now, interestingly, if you look at your standard sort of radio, the FM frequency, it starts at 87. So it's one below the 88, which is to do with infinity. It seems to suggest with the 87, it's an infinite combined with a divine number. So there's an input of something divine into this infinity being suggested there. And of course, it can keep you in a loop. But if we go to the other end of the spectrum, on the very high frequency, we get to 108. That is a hugely significant number. It also makes 9, which is a completion. So it's where we tune ourselves in, and what this reading is suggesting is going within oneself, taking action within oneself first. So as a sort of reminder, I mentioned this right near the start of the video, I feel over the next 13-40 years, it's to get to sort of 90% of perfection, as it were. That's probably the closest we can get in a physical reality with physical limitations. With the change in the whole environment, then I feel the other 10% will come. There's a big thing over this 10% in religions. I believe it's Sikhs give 10% to their temple. The same with Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a tithing of 10% in land tax years ago. The numbers used repeatedly. Then if we sort of break it down, 10 becomes 1. So there's always talk of 1% as well. And then with inside us, there's talk of this 97% of junk DNA. Well, is it junk? It seems very odd that we'd have something inside us that has no function, no purpose. I would suggest it comes down to terms and conditions again. Anyway, I hope you like this reading. I hope that has also inspired you to make a request for a personal reading as to where you fit in on this storyline, as it were. Because that, which card was it again? It's, just trying to remember which card it was now. Yes, Speaker of Rivers is about storytelling as well. What we convey, what we share, and I would suggest the best thing to share is experiences and things. This is an experience coming from a position of, I feel I need to make a video because of my financial situation, but more so because what comes out of it. So I don't know, so I'll just do another recap. So you've got the card that's saying rest, to allow for the discoveries. You've got taking action, the creative power of involvement. It's all happening inside yourself. It's like a meditation, effectively. And again, speaker of rivers, imagination, the power to inspire others. 8 of rivers, playfulness, a new identity. Well, playfulness, I would say, is linked to the humour. So that's where the humour is being shown. One of the 4 things that we need with this. Humour, intuition, imagination, and empathy. Knower of rivers, looking deep into one's own nature, self-knowledge, intuition, and confident action. And then we move on to the high priestess, the inner truth, the stillness. And of course, the magician, the divine masculine, creativity, action, connecting on a different level of being. That, I feel, is a huge key as well. This is frequency that we're talking here. This is nothing actually really to do with the physical world. This is at an energetic level. That's how we change things, or how we don't change things when we put up resistance as well. But it's also about setting boundaries as well. Because you can't give from an empty cup. So that's why it's saying right at the start, rest. Let things come to you. Don't chase them with thoughts. Don't try and think your way through it. Just let it come in its own time. We are all subject to time and the terms and conditions. So what happens when we're subjected to different terms and conditions? Which path are you going to take? Which world are you going to be in? Are you going to remain in this physical one? Are you going to step up and embrace what I would suggest is going to be more of a crystalline structure? Part physical, part not. Time will tell on that one, of course. Anyway, so that's the video and the reading for today. I hope it has inspired you. I hope that has at least got you out of the mindset of looking at 2040 and 2046 as being something horrific. It is an epoch collapse, yes, on the negative polarity. Sorry, an apocalypse on the negative polarity. And that is probably what you'll see because of the energy you'll emit, which will be fear-based. But if you can have that pole shift inside yourself and you're on that positive frequency, then you're going to experience an epoch collapse. Remember, there's a vowel shift. You can change the vowels in words, and you'll hear it in many words, down to dialect and things, how things are said. Because by changing the vowel, changing the sound, changes the disturbance that's going out into the ether. It creates a sort of distortion, and that's a big subject in itself. The overlays that would seem to be placed upon us and upon this earth, as it were, this construct. But they're the sort of veils that we can get through by following the advice of the cards. Anyway, we're now up to 30 minutes, so I feel that is a good place to stop. So if you feel you would like a reading, links are in the description under this video. So if you've got this far, thank you very much for listening, and I hope it has lifted up your spirits a little bit.